we play through games. I'm your host, Jared, and today is an interesting episode of Play Along Podcast because it's just me. Ben and Kai are not here today, but that doesn't mean I'm completely alone because with me today, I have Mike from the PokéBoys podcast. Mike, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here. For the listeners, I'm not responsible for the disappearance of Ben and Kai.
He has taken them out.
My hands are clean. My hands are clean. Now this Craig guy, I don't know.
Yeah, it was Craig.
I don't know.
So what this is Mike and I have a love borderline obsession with Pokemon. And we have already done a Pokemon playthrough on our podcast before. Me, Kai, and Ben did a Nuzlocke of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which was a great time. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed our time with it. But if it was up to me, I probably would have them play through a Pokemon game, every other game that I pick. But I don't want to have to succumb them to more and more Pokemon. And even for me, it allows me to pick things outside of my normal thing. Because I'm very easily wedged into Nintendo and Zelda and Pokemon. And this is going to allow me to branch away from that. But I still want to talk about Pokemon, and I do anyways, and I want to make content about it. So that is what this is. Mike and I will be doing a Pokemon Black and White Nuzlocke, and we will be playing through it in a similar fashion to how we do play along here normally. In regards to our Pokemon BDSP episode, we will be covering 2 gyms each episode, and the last episode will consist of the Elite Four and the Champion, and then Mike and I will be battling with our final teams at the very end, depending on if we make it. I will battle regardless, but spoilers for the BDSP series, I didn't beat Cynthia, and it still breaks I still haven't gone back to it today. I never touched it. I never went back.
That hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm excited about this. Funny story. I'm pretty sure the BDSP series was when I first started listening to Play Along Pod.
So cool.
So that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just excited because, like you said, love Pokemon.
Yep.
And I think Kai and Ben are more tolerable of Pokemon stuff than my co-host Nick and Chad. Neither of them have ever played a Pokemon game, and anytime I talk about Pokemon game, I'm just like shamed.
Their eyes roll back and they
Yeah. So I'm glad to have this outlet, and you and I, we've talked about creating Pokemon content for quite some time. So I'm glad that we're finally doing it. And I think depending on how this Black and White series goes, we have some other plans that maybe will come to fruition, which is exciting. But I'm just excited to get into this.
Yes.
And like a true professional podcaster, I made sure to eat a peanut butter granola bar right before going on here. So anyone who's familiar with PokéBoys or heard me on Play Along Pod, Jared and I are basically
we're notorious for coughs and throat
twins.
clears. Yeah.
Yes, and more than just our love for Pokemon. But I'm gonna try to be kind with my throat clears.
I've gotten good at the catching them, because before last time we talked, because Mike was also on our show, our Get Wrecked, where we talked about Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle and Banner Saga, and in that episode I talked about those little coughs that catch you off guard and you scramble for the mute button. I've gotten good at catching those before they come up, so I feel like I've been better recently. Also, I have severe allergies and have actually been taking my allergy pills, so I feel like my coughs and my throat clears have lessened throughout the seasons. So,
yeah, I catch myself sometimes
not all the
time to mute, but then I forget to unmute, so I'll be
I do the same
trying
thing.
to talk, and everyone's just looking at me. Anyways,
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into it, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, let's get into it. Like Mike said, we have plans going forward, and this is definitely something we want to continue doing with other Pokemon games because there's a lot out there. There's a lot of amazing ROM hacks. Mike will tell you all the ROM hacks that he has. Literally every day,
yes,
Mike will send me a different ROM hack and be like, dude, check this out. And I'm like, cool, just adding it to the list.
Yeah.
So
we were joking before we started recording, like about our notes for this episode, and I laughed because I have a spreadsheet, and I literally have a spreadsheet of fan games and ROM hacks I want to play, and it's like 70 rows right now.
Oh my god! Yeah. So
I'm never gonna.
We have ideas. We have content. If this is something that it works for us and continues going forward, then we would love to do more. Because again, we love talking about Pokemon. But as I said at the top of the show, we are doing a Nuzlocke of Pokemon Black and Pokemon White. If you don't know what a Nuzlocke is, the bare minimum rules is that you get one encounter per route or area. So anytime you run into the grass or a cave, the first Pokemon you run into is the Pokemon that you have to catch. If that Pokemon dies or runs away, then you lose out in encounters for that area. Rule number 2 is you have to name your Pokemon so that you get so attached to them that it breaks your heart when they inevitably die, which leads to rule number 3. If a Pokemon faints and is considered dead, and you can no longer use them, which is the sad part and where the naming comes in. It makes that difficult. And in our experience specifically, we are doing a randomized Nuzlocke of this game. And what I decided to do is I randomized it, but I kept the Pokemon similar strength. So when you go into the grass in Route 1, it'll still be random, but you can run into things like Sentrants and Zubats and things that are normally in an early game, early route Pokemon game. And I mean, so far for me, I think that that's like, it's been interesting because it feels like a normal game. You just get access to more Pokemon because with Black and White, what they had done is there's only Gen 5 Pokemon until post-game. Like, there's not even, like, with Gen 4 and Diamond and Pearl, you could still run into things like Geodudes and Zubats. It's only Gen 5 Pokemon until post-game, and I wanted access. Selfishly, I wanted access to more of those. So I went ahead and randomized it. But with that, let's get into this game. So immediately when we open up in Unova Town, which is our starting town, it's already different from some of the other 2D Pokemon games. There's an immediate like camera pan that's going down, and the professor is hand delivering the starters to your house essentially, which is really cool. Mike, this is your first time playing through Gen 5. Just immediate like initial reactions. How did you feel about like the visual style and everything compared to some older gens?
Yeah, so first time playing Black and White. Excuse me. I love it. Like the opening cinematic before you even get into the game.
It's wild.
I was like, dude,
it's
what is
so
this?
dramatic.
There's, like crowns and like a kingdom, and I'm like, what is going on? This is sick. That was super cool. Is this the first gen to have a like opening cinematic like that wasn't just like Gengar and Nidorino popping around?
I'm trying to think. Like the other ones have cinematics, but I think they're just like silhouette of the Pokemon.
Yeah.
But not,
this one,
if anything, not as
like,
intensive as this, because there's like anime cutscenes that are like happening in the background.
Yeah, that was super cool. And this was just a regular DS game?
Yes, correct.
Okay. The visual style of Pokemon on the DS is so sick.
Yeah,
Like,
I really love
I
it.
love this. It looks so good. And for anyone wondering, I am playing this on my cell phone, which handled the DS emulation like really good,
Beautifully.
and it looks fantastic on my Pixel 6. I love it.
Yeah. No, Gen 5 has a very specific art style to it because it's almost literally the stepping point between 2D and 3D. Like the next thing we
Yeah.
got was X and Y, and the one thing we had before this was BDSP, and this is like right squished in the middle where it's still 2D, but they're playing with camera and they're playing with camera angles, and all the Pokemon are fully animated in battle and everything like that. It's so interesting. I really love Gen 5's art style.
Yeah, and I picked up well, you'd say about the camera, there were a couple buildings I would go into. I think it was the first town, where I go up to the door and the camera turns like just a little bit so I can kind of see where I need to go. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Whoa, that's wild.
Which doesn't sound crazy, but
It's
it
the
is
little
crazy for
things, man.
Pokemon.
It's the little things
Yeah.
that you're like, oh, that's really cool. That's different. Like the jump between Gen 4, like Diamond and Pearl, and 5 is very obvious, like almost immediately.
The battle animations, I immediately noticed that a lot of fan games use this
Gen, not
battle
only in its
animations.
like battle
And I
animations,
love these fan games,
but
that use
the
this.
like menu, like when you open your Pokemon menu, a
Yeah.
lot of fan games use that like black like grid out background for
Yeah.
their Pokemon menus.
Yeah, I like it. It's super cool. I immediately recognized it from fan games.
Yeah. But yeah, this game starts, like I said, the professor, we don't know the professor at the moment, has come and hand delivered the starters to our house. And I said in the beginning that I randomized the game, but I decided not to randomize the starters because this was Mike's first time in this and his first time probably experiencing these starters in their, original format. I mean, Oshawott has been in things like Legends Arceus, so I mean, he's in that capacity. But Snivy and Tepig haven't really had any light shined on them through this. But we are introduced to our two rivals. This one we get Bianca, and then we get Sharon, and they will pick the opposite starters to us respectively. Mike, what was your starter for this? What did you decide to go with?
I forget how I decided this, but it basically came down to Tepig or Snivy because I used Oshawott in Legends Arceus.
I'm pretty sure you did
I
a
always
coin
say it
flip.
wrong.
I'm pretty sure you did a heads or tails coin flip.
Oh yeah, I did do the coin flip between those two. I also used Oshawott in this gym of mine, which was a super fun run.
Yeah.
So I ended up with Snivy, which was fitting because I tend to like the grass type starters. You can't see because this is a podcast, but I have a Bulbasaur plushie on my desk behind me.
Very adorable.
My all-time favorite Pokemon. So grass starters are usually my thing. But I didn't want to pick Snivy because he looks super lame. And
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
but-
Snivy either.
yeah. But I've used Tepig in like assorted other games. But yeah, another fun fact: Fire type's probably my least selected starter.
That's so interesting because I
usually
feel like
between
I
water and
always pick either water or fire. Like those are the two I normally go to. And there's a couple gens like Gen 4. I love Torterra. Like Torterra is my favorite. Infernape's cool, and Empoleon's like almost at the top there, but I love Torterra.
Yeah, that's a great starter too. I have a bone to pick with Empoleon, which we don't need to get into. But
Oh,
let's
no.
just say,
Previous
how do
history.
you have a penguin that is not ice type,
But Water Steel's so cool.
bro? He's a penguin.
I know he's a penguin, but he's a steel penguin.
Then go ice steel. Change it from water
Ooh,
steel.
Ice
on
Steel
that
would
final
have been good.
evolution to ice.
Very,
Come on.
very weak to fire.
Yeah, very.
I
We won't talk about that.
I was never a huge fan of the starters. When I first played this, I picked Oshawott because Oshawott is the clear choice between the three of them. Fun fact: Pokemon Black and White was the very first Pokemon game that I picked up day one. I went into my GameStop the day it came out, and I was a junior in high school, and I did the thing that all kids do. I didn't have enough money, so I sold my copies of Pokemon Pearl and Pokemon Soul Silver to get one copy of Pokemon White.
Soul Silver.
Yep.
Oh man.
It breaks my heart every time I tell that story, but I'm familiar with these starters. They're not my favorite, but I decided to go with Tepig because Mike picked Snivy, and I've already used Oshawott lots of times, so I went with Tepig. I think the problem with Tepig in that line is this was the third firefighting type that we got. And so at this point, I was burnt out at the firefighting types.
Huh.
Burnt.
I see what you did there.
Burnt out. Get it? You see what I did there? So I decided to go with Tepig. But that leads us smoothly into our naming conventions because we both had a theme and a way we were going to name our Pokemon. Mike, I'm really curious. You have been teasing me with your naming convention. How did you go about naming your Pokemon?
It's all so random.
Okay, cool.
Just whatever comes to mind, really. Usually I try to come up with a theme in past Nuzlockes, which, by the way, let's just get this out of the way. When you say Nuzlocke, this is a Nuzlocke with a fat asterisk at the end.
Big ol' asterisk.
For me. So the Nuzlocke rules for myself that I'm playing by can hardly constitute as a Nuzlocke. Aside from the fact that if a Pokemon dies in battle, I'm gonna keep it dead and I'll box it. But I'm gonna catch everything, and when I'm grinding wild Pokemon, I'm not gonna count. I counted one death as that, and then I was like,
You're like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. But if I lose one in a trainer battle or a gym battle, that's fair game. I'll box it. But I am gonna name everything. Snivy did not get a cool nickname. It's just called Snips.
I like Snips for a Snivy. That's cool.
I mean, it kind of looks like a weed to me, and I'm just like, or
snip
a
'em.
blade of grass or something. You just do a little snip. But no, I think I do have some interesting names that we'll get to. But I have no convention. Oh, what I was gonna say, past Nuzlocks, I would. It's not a great naming convention, but I would name all my Pokemon human names, and they would either be like
I remember that,
a guy name or a girl name, depending on the gender of the Pokemon, and then it would have to start with the first letter of the Pokemon. So if I had like a female Snivy, it would be like Stephanie or Sarah or something.
That's funny.
Not that clever. But,
well, I'm excited to
suck
hear
at coming up with names.
Yeah. Well, that's why for me, I took the naming convention into the universe's hands, but in BDSP, I decided to go with the fact that I was going to name my Pokemon after our followers and fellow podcasters and listeners, so that even more when I killed them, I felt worse. So I decided to take that same route. And if you listen to BDSP, my starter was Piplup, and I decided to name my Piplup after Eric from the Unlockables podcast. It was named Sire. And right before the third gym, there's a double battle right before you get into the third gym city, and I got destroyed by that gym and lost all of my Pokemon. And Eric, my starter, did die along with the rest of my crew. I restarted, renamed, and got back to that point, but I feel like Eric needed some redemption. So introducing Sire, the Tepig. Eric, you are my starter once again. I will not let you die. This is
Shout
me
out.
saying right now that you will not die. I will keep you alive as best as I possibly can.
Respectable.
Yes.
One thing.
Yeah.
Actually, two things. A rule I forgot to mention in my Nuzlocke. My starter is immortal, so Snivy will be with me forever.
Yes.
Along with your naming convention, the first thing I ever streamed for Showboys on like our gaming side of stuff was Darkest Dungeon, which, by the way,
No, you
game.
said great things
Super
about that. I
fun.
still haven't played. I need to check it out.
the playlist for that stream is like 34 streams.
Oh damn.
It's a long time. But I did the same thing you're doing, where it's a roguelike, so permadeath on your heroes you recruit to your camp.
Yes.
every hero that got recruited, I named after someone in our Discord, and I like snipped a picture of it and tagged them in Discord.
Oh,
I'm like,
that's
hey,
cool.
it's you. Welcome to the team.
And you're
then
dead.
when they died, I did the same thing. I snipped the image of their little tombstone. And I'm like, rest in peace. I'm so sorry.
Oh man, that's smart. Maybe after each of these episodes, I will do a screenshot of my deaths and tag all the people and
Just,
publicly
yeah,
apologize
just a
for
little
murdering them.
in memoriam.
Yeah, exactly. But after we pick our starters, Sharon and Bianca decide it would be a great idea to have a Pokemon battle right here in the room. And we get to battle both of them. I think Bianca chooses the one that's weak to your typing, and then Sharon chooses the one that's strong to your typing, whatever the opposite of the Pokemon you chose. I don't remember what they had for the oh no, they weren't random, so I think they were probably the same. These battles were easy. They were I think I beat both of them. I didn't have any trouble.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, easy.
Get out of here.
But it's really cool because, again, leading into the graphics, afterward, like plumes of smoke come up and you see the room like turn to shambles because a legit Pokemon battle just happened here, which I think is it's so funny. I love it.
Yeah. And your mom, the real MVP, she's like, don't worry about it. I got it. I'll clean your room up.
Yeah, literally
go
fighting animals upstairs. Your mom's like, go have fun, honey. I'm going to clean it up after you.
Yep.
Real MVP. You go downstairs and you have to now head to the professor's office, which is right here in town, which we've brought this up before, but how convenient is it that you live in the same city as the professor? Like, what if you lived into like a town across the map? You get a starter? Do you have to travel over to November Town to get your starter? How does that work?
Yeah, I feel like there should at least be like an inn or something.
Yeah, right?
For these out-of-towners to come in and get their Pokemon.
Maybe they do like Zoom meetings where they like virtually meet with the professor and they teleport their Pokemon over
just
to
like
them.
Wonder Trade it over.
Yeah. They're like, here, you can have this. You don't need to visit here. But this is where we get our formal introduction to Professor Juniper, who is the professor of this region. And sticking with the tree themes, she's a juniper tree, which is what all the professors are named after, different trees. She gives us the spiel of going through and completing the Pokedex and doing all of that, gives us the town map, and then instructs us to follow her to Route 1, where she will teach us how to catch Pokemon. This is still back in the day where they still roughly have catching tutorials now, but a lot of things like Sword and Shield, you have access to grass before the catching tutorial. So if you've caught a Pokemon before that, they just don't do the catching tutorial, which is so nice. You're like, I've already done this. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to do anything like that.
Love it.
Yeah. You go in, she shows you how to eat. There's this like little scene where you, Bianca, and Sharon all like hand in hand walk towards that Route 1, like you're all taking your first steps into your Pokemon adventure, which I think is sweet. This game got a lot of hate, I think, when it came out, but I think looking back in retrospect, at least for me, Gen 5 is great. I have a great time with Gen 5, and I'm very excited to experience this with you. But now is the exciting part. We get to have our Route 1 encounter. Mike, what did you catch, and what did you name it? If you caught it. If you didn't catch anything, then that's fine too.
I've caught 35 Pokemon in this run. So what I caught, I couldn't tell you, but I will tell you one thing.
Yes.
Can we just talk real quick about why Bianca's dad is being painted as a bad guy?
I totally forgot to say that, but Bianca wants to go on an adventure and her dad is not having it. He's like, it's too dangerous. You don't want to go out there, but he is painted as like he's evil for not letting Bianca like chase her dreams.
Yeah, she's 10, bro. Is it that unreasonable for a parent to not want their 10-year-old to go travel the world alone?
Mike, 10 years old is a legal adult in the Pokemon world. She's a legal adult. She can do what she wants.
All right. Well, I mean, at least she has us, right?
Exactly. And we sort of travel together, kind of. I forgot that you are doing it and I'm, again, however anybody does their Nuzlocke rules is perfectly fine. It goes into the individual however they want to do it. But to experience the most of these Gen 5 Pokemon, I understand you want to be like, I want to be able to catch like any kind of Pokemon that I see because there's probably a lot of really cool Gen 5 Pokemon that you want to check out and try out.
And for me, when it comes to, whenever I have tried Nuzlocks, like one, I suck at them. and I hate restarting.
Worst.
So whenever I do a Nuzlocke on stream, it's like a palate cleanse between games where like I'm just gonna go until I wipe, and then that's the end of the Nuzlocke. And for recording purposes for this, I was like, oh man, I don't want to just have to restart all the time. So that's why I went with I can just catch everything, but I'm still gonna have them die when they die.
And even
this way,
and that'll help because you'll have more Pokemon to like add on to the team if they do die. So that's really fine.
Exactly.
Me for Route 1, I ran into a Krogunk. And I named this Krogunk Beebs from DeBeebs on Twitter. She is a streamer, mostly streams Overwatch and everything, but she's really cool. Check her out. But that is my Krogunk. Tepic and Krogunk at the moment.
I caught a Krogunk as well at some point, which, by the way, I'm going to do a better job of
tracking,
keeping track of my teams for each gym. So next time I'll do that. But I named my Krogunk Leonardo because, fighting amphibian.
He's a Ninja Turtle.
Blue. We went with the
I could see it. I could see
Leo.
it.
Come on.
Leonardo.
He was on the team for like 20 minutes, but then I switched him out for something
more exciting. And this is what I like about doing things like this, kind of being like in Nuzlocke, being forced to use Pokemon you won. I love Krogunk, but I feel like I don't use Krogunk or Toxicroak very often, so I was very excited when I ran into Krogunk. So we get to the end of Route 1, and you essentially get judged. Well, maybe not you because you had multiple Pokemon, but Bianca's like, maybe you should catch more Pokemon. You'd feel safer. I was like, okay, Bianca, I'm doing a Nuzlocke. I can't catch more than one Pokemon. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Bianca is such a jerk to you.
Yeah, she really is. But after this, we get into Cumula Town, and Professor Juniper gives us the run of what Pokemon Centers are and what Marts is. This is the first time that the Pokemon Center and the Mart are one building. There is not a separate building for the Mart. You can do all your buying in the Pokemon Center, which is so nice.
Best change ever.
Best change ever. I'm trying to think if they continue that. X and Y. No, X and Y is separate. Sun and Moon is together. Sword and Shield is together as well. Yeah, I wonder why they changed it for X and Y. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that change alone is just...
It's huge.
It's probably the best, aside from, I don't know what gen they introduced this in, but I know in Sun and Moon, when you catch a Pokemon, you can, right from that screen, like decide to add it to your party or not.
Genius.
And then in Sword and Shield, you can access your box remotely without having to go to a PC. Aside from those two, the Mart and the Poke Center in the same building, probably the best quality of life improvement.
Absolutely. But after we get through a run of what a Pokemon Center is, what a PC is, and what a Mart, we exit the Pokemon Center and we see... There's kind of a commotion going on in the center of town. These two people talking that there's these individual dressed in these weird clothes kind of look like they're setting up a stage or a presentation. And we walk over there, and this is our first introduction to Team Plasma, who is the evil team of this generation. And Black and White has a really interesting story, and I'm excited for you to kind of take the journey through this. But we get introduced to Team Plasma and their leader, whose name is... I'm blanking right now what his name is. Getsis. We get introduced to Getsis and Team Plasma, and essentially Team Plasma's whole spiel is they're trying to liberate Pokemon. That they're saying that we are forcing Pokemon to do these things that we want, and the Pokemon aren't really... wanting to do it. They're not what's the word I'm looking for? They're not consenting to doing any of this, and their job is to now liberate people from Pokemon and to point out that people are awful for essentially forcing these Pokemons to be slaves. And the entire time Getsis was talking, I was like, I mean, he kind of makes a little sense. I mean, a little bit.
Yeah.
We force these Pokemon to do it. We're fighting animals, essentially.
I've thought of this for so long, and I'm so glad that a game is actually addressing it. Because it's like, yeah, we're just like essentially dogfighting is legal in the world of Pokemon, which has always puzzled me. Like you're just
Yeah.
capturing these wild animals and just literally using them to amuse yourself in battle.
Although
It's just
it is odd that Team Plasma then battles us to prove
right.
their point. They're kind of
Yes.
condescending themselves a little bit.
Yeah. Definite contradiction going on there. It would be much cooler if they just like stabbed you. But yeah, that's probably not.
That-
Or if they went like, what's the new like Pokemon like game coming out? It's a Pal World or something.
They just
where you,
pulled
like,
out like an AR-15
Yeah,
and
that's
they
cool.
start like shooting into the air.
Yeah, maybe that'd be a little too extreme, but I love the premise of the story is
Yeah.
super cool, and I also love the way that Team Plasma looks like later on when you fight their grunts, and they look like Templar Knights almost.
Yeah, they have a weird, like you said in the beginning, with like the whole king and knight, and there's a lot of that
Yeah.
aesthetic going on, and especially how Getsis is dressed. He has a crown. How Team Plasma are dressed and everything. I really love the aesthetic of Team's Plasma.
Yeah, it's super cool. I'm excited to see, because like you said, we're only covering the first two gyms, so the story doesn't progress an incredible
Yeah.
amount. There is a little bit, but I'm excited to see how the story develops. You've said, and Ben from the Dragoon Effect podcast in our Discord, you guys rave about Gen 5 and these games, so I'm excited to
Yeah,
see what all the hubbub's about.
I would say it definitely is weird. It gets weird, but I would say it's probably one of my favorite. Black and Black 2 White 2 are one of my favorite narratives in Pokemon games up there, for sure. But after Team Plasma are done ranting, they pick up their banners, they pick up their coats, and they walk away. The crowd disperses, and there's one individual still standing there, a green-haired man that approaches us and introduces himself as just the letter N. His name is N, and I'm curious of how you interpreted this scenario, because he comes up to you, he's like, "Your Pokemon, I can hear them talking. We should battle it." I'm like, "Bro, you need to like step back." I'm picturing he's like way too close. Like he doesn't understand like social boundaries. I'm like, "Back up, man. Back up."
Yeah. Yeah, and I envision him saying it exactly how you did, like just whispering it in my ear aggressively. It's just like, it was quite weird. This end guy is an interesting fellow, and I've seen over the years some, I think, theories floating around about what N may be.
People
Without having
really
any
like N.
context to N. So
Yeah.
again, like the story, I'm excited to see more of this character that I've seen, floating around the internet over the last several years.
Yeah. N battles you, piece of cake. I don't remember him having anything stand out at all, and my Krogan and Tepig just took him to town. No issues at all.
Nice.
Yeah. We then get to Route 2, which my Route 2 encounter, I ran into a Diglett. I got a little old Diglett. I named him
exciting.
Scabzilla from Aaron from Super Pod Saga. I was on Discord like looking for people's names, and his Discord name is Scabzilla. So Aaron, you are my Diglett named Scabzilla.
That's awesome. So for every encounter that I can't remember, I'll just tell you a cool nickname.
Yeah, that's fine.
that I
That's
came up with.
that's perfect.
I want to say that I probably encountered a Spinarak on Route 1 or the next encounters.
Yeah, I definitely remember there being Spinarak in there because I was sad because hot take, I love Spinarak and Ariados. I think they're really cool.
Yeah, I think that's one of the... There's a handful of Pokemon that feel like they should have a third evolution.
Or at least a buff.
think
They need
that's
to
one of
buff Ariados
Yeah.
in some like ROM hack or something because they would be so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, cool Pokemon. I named him Parker.
Okay.
Peter Parker.
Peter Parker, Spider Moon. Love it.
Yeah, and then that'll be it for now.
All right, cool.
We'll go over more nicknames later.
It's interesting because this is where, right as you enter Route 2, is where you get the running shoes. So another thing we didn't talk about is the professor gives you the like a walkie-talkie X transceiver. What is it called? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the X transceiver,
the cross transceive or something like that. So
Yeah.
you can talk to people, and your mom calls you, and she busts through the doors of Route 2 and gives you the running shoes, which felt late. I definitely felt there was times walking through Route 1 and Accumula Town that I was like, why can't I run? Why am I not able to run right now? Because usually you get the running shoes almost, well, in some instances, almost immediately after you leave mom and leave your hometown, you get access to those running shoes. But you get them a little late here. And Route 2 is the route where you start being able to battle trainers. There's about 4 or 5 trainers on this route that lead up to Striaton City, which Striaton City is the home of the very first gym. But when we get there, we can't get to the gym for some reason. The guy is in there. He said the gym leader is not here right now. You're going to have to come back later. And then we get lambasted by some lady who wants to study Pokemon dreams.
Yeah, super weird.
It's a weird concept to be like, I'm studying Pokemon dreams.
I just now anytime I hear anything like even minorly creepy in this game, it's going to be read in that voice, in N's voice, and then now this lady's voice.
I'm just gonna slowly start voicing the characters throughout this. This is Fennel.
Perfect.
This is Fennel, by the way. Fennel is the one that is researching Pokemon dreams and dream mist. The whole reason to this because Pokemon Black and White's gimmick was they had like the dream yard in which you can go into the dream world and go into a Pokemon's dream. I never did it, and I don't even really remember what the significance to that was, but that was what it was for.
That sounds super interesting.
I'm looking at it right now.
That was actually when they also stealth announced the Pokemon Sleep. No, I'm just kidding.
It was that long. Honestly, it wouldn't be surprised if it was that long ago. Honestly. So
this dream stuff is interesting, and I can't wait to talk about what comes up, here shortly.
Yeah. How did you feel about Striaton City? Because this is interesting in like its aesthetic versus some of the things we've seen before. Cumula Town has the Pokemon Center and has a couple of buildings, but Striaton City definitely has these like large brown buildings to it. How did you feel about just the aesthetic of this first gym and the first gym town?
Yeah, I liked the tall buildings, and I think I don't remember if it was this town. Sorry, guys. I wrapped up my playthrough like.
It's been a while, guys.
So it's a little fuzzy. But hey, you get what you get.
Exactly.
Don't throw a fit. That's what my wife always says to our children.
Get
wow,
what
terrible.
you get.
Anyways, I don't remember if it was the first town or the second town here, but I was like, this can't be it. I feel like I got to go somewhere. I got to be able to get somewhere else, and then like I could. There was like an elevated thing, or like I was going down steps behind buildings, and I was like, oh, okay. So the new like weird blend between 2D and 3D I'm gonna have to like pay attention to things like this because I can go some places where I did think I was gonna be able to go.
Well, this is also where like you were talking about, you can kind of like you have a side view of a building, and then as you go into it, it kind of starts to pan, and then you're inside the building. And when you come out, the camera kind of pans back and everything too. But there's definitely little cracks and crevices you can miss in there that they've hid behind like how the camera is presented, which is interesting.
Yeah, I enjoy it, and I kind of liked how the building seemed very like apartment-y, which was cool. You walk in, there's like some fans, and you can go up the stairs, and there's more stuff.
Yeah.
And then we have the classic Pokemon Academy.
Yep, the classic trainer school, which every first town has to have, or every first major town. And this is where Sharon is. He's studying here. We give him the town map, and of course he wants to battle us. Again, no problem. Diglett, Croagunk, Tepig, took him to town, washed him. No problem at all.
Go back to class, nerd.
Get back to class. You better start studying more, man.
Yeah.
Now we do have access after beating Sharon to go to the first gym. I kind of deviated from that and went up to the kind of north of Striaton City, and this is where the Dream Yard is, and we can't actually access the Dream Yard just yet because we need cut, so I'll have to beat the first gym. But there is 2 trainers here that we can battle, and there's a 3rd trainer that gives us a gift Pokemon. So in normal Pokemon Black and White, this lady gives you either a Panpour, a Pansear, or a Pansage, depending on the starter that you chose. Which is, it'll just help you kind of, because the gym is going to be the opposite typing of whatever you've picked. So if you picked the fire type, or you picked grass, the gym leader will have a fire, and this lady will give you a water to try to help balance out.
Give you some coverage.
Give you some coverage, yes.
What did she give you?
Yeah, so knowing I was going to go there first, I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to go there. I'm going to have a good time. This is where one of my first deaths happened.
Oh, no.
On the way, fighting one of the trainers, they had a Vibrava with Sonic Boom, and pour one out, Scabzilla, Aaron, the Diglett,
No,
just as quick as you came, you have left. And
it's such an epic nickname, too.
And Diglett is unfortunately my first death of the run because of Vibrava with Sonic Boom, which is... It feels bad. The whole reason I went up here in the first place is because I knew the lady was going to give me a Pokemon. I was like, hey, I'll take more Pokemon for this gym battle, of course. Ended up losing a Pokemon here, but she gave me a Roggenrola, which I named Slade. Slade from the Game Club podcast. So, Slade, you are my
Welcome,
Roggenrola.
Slade. Scabzilla, gone but not forgotten.
Pour one
Rest
out.
in peace, my friend.
Rest in petals.
I got a... What did I get? I'm looking in my box right now because this Pokemon was cool. A Swoobat is what I got, and I named it Sonic.
Aw, he does kind of look like Sonic.
Yeah, so that was really cool. I was really excited. Never used a Swoobat before, so...
Swoobat and Woobat have, like, very underrated... Like, they get kind of shit on for their design, but they're underrated Pokemon. I think they're psychic flying.
They are.
Psychic flying,
and it knew... oh, man, the game shut down. It knew, like, confusion.
Ooh, having early game...
flying type move.
Ooh, having early game confusion in stab is really good. That's awesome. But yeah, I have Roggenrola.
I will tell you.
Yeah. And one thing I did change for this too is all impossible evolutions. So things like trade evolutions now are possible. They evolve around like level 40 or something. So I will be able to get a Gigalith, which Boldor is usually, it's like the Graveler of this generation is usually a trade evolution, but I will be able to get them. So with our gift Pokemon in hand and my dead Pokemon that I have to now go and throw into the Pokemon Center trash, we head to the first gym. And so Striaton City's gym is all about type matchups. How it's set up is in front of you. You will have 3 circles, each with grass, fire, and water respectively. And draped above it is a tarp. We'll have one of those typings. Your job is to select the typing that is super effective against the typing that is listed on the tarp. You would think how it's set up, it's like, oh, if I get it right, I don't have to battle the gym trainers. Doesn't matter. If you get it right, if you get it wrong, you still have to go through and battle the gym trainers regardless. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Better been paying attention in class, my friends. Swoobat knew confusion and gust, which when you're chilling in the early game,
That's good.
nice to have.
That's good.
Also, Sonic Boom. I can't get over your first death.
Triggered.
What an OP move in the early game, because it always does 20
It always
damage,
does 20.
right?
And my poor little Diglett. And okay, to be fair, I'm pretty sure Diglett had like maybe a smidgen of health gone. Just enough where Sonic Boom would take it out, and he died. Because I
always
like,
forget.
Looking at my team, I have Diglett, Croagunk, and Tepig. Who's gonna handle that Vibrava? I was like, Diglett's probably my best option. That's all I got.
Even though I know Sonic Boom does 20 damage every time,
Yeah.
I forget it does 20 damage every time.
Yes.
So in the early game, I'm like, oh yeah, I got hit once. I should be fine. I'm still, sitting at like 18 HP, which is like 80% of my health bar full. And then I just get blasted by a Sonic Boom.
Yes.
About the randomizer, are trainers randomized? So like, are we fighting the same trainers, or are we going to have different?
Well, in terms of both of us, we'll probably run into the same because Mike and I are using the same ROM because I wanted us to have access to the same Pokemon to see kind of like how we built our teams and everything given the same Pokemon. So I'm pretty sure that the trainers will be random.
But they're the same for us.
But they're the same.
But they're random from
the normal game, but they're
game.
same for us. And I might have, well, because it's interesting because our gift Pokemon were different. We have the same ROM, but our gift Pokemon were different. So that's interesting. So yeah, we get into the battles with the first gym leader, in which there is actually 3 of them. Like I had stated, depending on who you decide to pick, you will be battling one of the 3 brothers that run this gym, each of them using a specific typing, not in our case because it's randomized. Mike, how did this gym battle go for you?
Cake. Get out of here.
Well, that's good. I'm glad.
I wish. I was just gonna say, I wish I would have. I wrote down on my spreadsheet, which I was bragging about, what my team was at the end, not
like during.
What my team was during
I
each
see.
step here. So going forward, as I beat a gym, I'm gonna write down my team.
Yeah.
In case it changes. My team did change after the first gym, so. Who was on that first squad? I can't recall.
But it was Cake.
But I do know that nobody died, I think. I did have 4 deaths. But I don't think anyone died here.
Well, Mike, I'm really glad that your gym battle went great because I lost a Pokemon in this first gym.
Oh no!
I'm not doing good, man. I didn't write down how it died, but Beebs, the Croagunk, Beebs, I'm sorry, you have also died. Pour one out. Rest in peace. In this first gym. So right now, at this point, I have just Tepig and Roggenrola are my only 2 Pokemon that I have right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, starting on Nuzlocke off strong. That's right.
Hey, you still got 2.
I got 2. But we beat it. We beat the first gym, and I believe this is the plain badge. That's what they're calling it.
No, the plain badge is the second badge.
The second one. What is this one? It's called the trio badge. Definitely did take like 5 minutes to figure out what it is called.
That actually makes a lot of sense,
It makes
I don't know how we didn't think of that.
a lot of sense. But we get the trio badge. We get access to now use Cut, which we can head to the Dream Yard to start investigating it because one of the things that Fennel wanted us to do is get some Dream Mist for the Dream Yard so she can continue doing her research. We get to the Dream Yard and Bianca runs into us. I don't think she battles us right here. No, she doesn't battle us, but she accompanies us as we go into the Dream Yard. And when we enter, we see a poor little Muna who is on the floor, who is being accosted by Team Plasma members. They just had this whole spiel and this whole speech about wanting to liberate Pokemon. And these 2 Team Plasma grunts are wanting the Dream Dust from this Muna. And they're literally kicking the Muna so the Dream Dust would come out of it. How is that liberating Pokemon?
Unbelievable, man! This was so sad.
Poor little
Quick
Muna.
update: no deaths before the or at the first gym. All my deaths occurred after. With that out of the way, man, I loved this part, the little story stuff we get here.
Yeah.
Just really shows you how terrible
People
Team
are.
Plasma really is.
Yep.
Talking all that smoke about liberating the Pokemon, they're just sitting here literally kicking a Munna.
Yeah. So
Not
sad.
cool. I loved the appearance of the boss, which I forget his
Getsis.
name that you said earlier. Getsis. That was pretty rad.
Yeah.
And Munna is one of those Pokemon that I've never used but see all the time, and I'm like, man, that looks like such a dumb Pokemon.
Munna and Wisharna.
Yeah, but for some reason, maybe it's the sympathizing I did. As
Now you want a Munna.
Like rib kicked there right in front of us. I'm like, I want to use a Munna now.
Yeah.
What a poor Pokemon.
Yeah, like Mike said, what this Munna does is it essentially uses like psychic abilities to manifest an illusion of Getsis. That is, he is like accosting the Team Plasma members and telling them to get back to work. So they leave, and a Musharna comes out and it drops its little Pokeball, which then Fennel comes out, and it is the Dream Dust. So she got her Dream Dust and everything, and we didn't do anything. We just stood there. The Munna handled herself. The Munna and the Musharna handled it themselves.
Yeah, it was super cool. I can't, like I said, I can't wait to see how some of these story beats kind of pick up. Because for early game stuff, I mean, it is early game stuff. When we're being introduced.
It's very
to
like
things.
surface level to these characters and everything.
Yeah, but up to this point, right, in the Pokemon generations, like this is a significant improvement in storytelling. So I'm just excited to experience an official Pokemon game with some strong storytelling. Even if the story they're telling isn't like, mind-blowing or like genre bending or innovative.
It's
like,
so far deeper than
good
anything up to this point. I mean,
yeah.
Gen 4 Cyrus wanted to restart the universe, and that was like kind of like wild, but we didn't get a lot of depth with that too. Like just seeing these grunts just like kicking this Munna for his Dream Dust. It's like thinking about that, like that's terrible. That's so bad.
And like the premise is like not unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like somebody wanting to restart the universe.
Exactly.
Like, this team wants to liberate Pokemon. I'm sure their reason is going to get rather unbelievable. But at least at the starting point now, it's like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I could see there being people
like
that would want to do that.
Their goals seem like a not a far-fetched goal, and even if if we think about it in the terms of like Getsis maybe has good intentions, maybe there's just some bad eggs like these two Plasma members, like that's also a believable narrative to follow too. But after these Plasma people leave and Fennel and Bianca head out, we now have access to the Dream Yard, which is another encounter, which I'm really excited for this encounter because I ran into a Rotom here. And I'm very excited. Nice. Electric Ghost type. My Rotom's name is Bill, from the host of the Gaming and Collecting podcast. Bill, you are my Rotom, and I'm very excited to have you. And again, same thing I said with Eric, you will not die because Rotom is such a cool Pokemon, and I need him.
Yeah, definitely not you, but Rotom. Super cool.
Yeah. Rotom
and worth keeping alive.
Yeah.
Welcome to the squad, Bill. I don't know if you intentionally chose Bill for this, but it just makes sense. You got the PC guy, Bill.
I didn't even think about that.
The Rotom.
I did intentionally pick Bill, but I didn't even think about like Bill as the Pokemon trainer or the Pokemon researcher or whatever he is.
You can just edit that out and just be like, yeah, I totally
did that. Totally intentional. This game introduces another new mechanic in which I'm trying to think if Gen 3 had them, but This game has shaking grass. So every now and then a tile of grass will shake, and that'll be essentially the rare encounter for that area. So that, I believe, is new to Pokemon Black and White, but I could be wrong.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't remember my encounter here, but probably my favorite nickname so far. I mean, actually, no, it's not my favorite. But it's up there. I have a clear favorite, and when you hear, you'll know exactly why. It'll make perfect sense.
Okay, I'm excited.
But at some point, I caught a Whismur.
Okay, Whismur. Whismur's good.
I named it Skrillex, obviously.
Nice.
It just makes sense.
It just makes sense. I mean, Exploud's a fantastic Pokemon too. Gets access to like wild moves like Fire Blast and things like that. So super cool Pokemon.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, Explode has a wide. It gets like Thunderbolt and Fire Blast. It has a wide. And
Dang.
I don't think Boom Burst is in this generation. It might have been Gen 6, but no, Explode's really good.
Wow. I've never messed with that line, so now I might. Because that sounds pretty rad.
Yeah. So after we leave, we head out west of Striaton City, and we can head to Route 3 before there was a gentleman. It's like the Pokemon thing where there's a guy there and it's like, "You're not supposed to leave yet. Have you checked out the Pokemon gym?" And it's like, okay. I guess I'm not supposed to go this way, Jesus. He's not there anymore. We can get access to Route 3, which Route 3 is interesting because this has a number of different trainers here, but also has the Pokemon daycare. Another thing to show up quite early in a Pokemon game. There's some battles you can do outside of the Pokemon daycare. There's like a little cute playground and everything. And there's
a legitimate daycare.
There's children here as well as Pokemon. What you think about it, that kind of just like makes sense. To have like Pokemon and children entertain themselves. So it's like, there you go. It works out.
Very true.
There's also a woman in the Pokemon daycare that will heal your team.
Yes, very convenient.
Very convenient because I would go back and forth by like battling and then healing
Exactly.
and battling and healing. Yeah.
Yeah, I healed at the daycare so many times. But I remember one of my earlier encounters, which also was a cool nickname, a Horsey. That I named
Horsey's a good Pokemon.
I know, and I was super excited because again, it's one of those Pokemon that I like, but I've never really used.
And you can get Kingdra in this too.
Exactly, and I was like, yes, this is gonna be awesome. So I caught a Horsey randomly. That's the great thing about the randomizer. You get water encounters in the grass.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, welcome to the squad, Seabiscuit.
Seabiscuit the Horsey. Welcome. Oh man, Kingdra's a good water dragon is such a good typing.
Mm-hmm. It is
perfect.
It's just cool.
Yeah, Kingdra's just a cool Pokemon. It's a seahorse.
Cool.
It's a seahorse. What's cooler than a seahorse? Tell me. Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, probably other things, but as we continue west to Route 3, we actually run into Bianca and a little girl again this little girl seems quite upset, and as Bianca's explaining to us what happened, some people in Team Plasma has gone and stole her Pokemon from her, and they've ran off to Wellspring Cave. So it is now our journey to head to there and try to take down the Team Plasma members and get this little girl her Pokemon back. But not before that, we have patches of grass, which we can get a encounter. So my Route 3 encounter, I ran into a Darumaka, who I named CJ from Chris from the 1 Hour 1 Decision podcast. So Chris, you are my Darumaka named CJ.
Welcome to the squad, Chris.
Darumaka and Darmanitan also, more Darmanitan, but Darmanitan is a powerhouse. That is a strong Pokemon. He has a crazy attack stat. He gets a lot of really cool fire attacks.
It's another line I've never messed with because it looks so stupid.
What? Darumaka's adorable.
I literally judge that Pokemon by its cover.
And he gets a form
ball.
in Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield?
The ice one?
Is that
What you're talking about?
Yeah, that's not Sword and Shield, is it?
I don't know.
Take away my Pokemon card.
Don't mess with those boys.
They're adorable. I think Darumaka is cute.
Here's another cool nickname that I had. Well, I'll let you guys be the judge, but I caught a Paris, and I
Okay.
named it Hilton.
Okay, that's a good Paris name. I like that Paris name.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, that's the end of the story.
Paris is a Pokemon that I think, like, if they were gonna do like ROM hacks or something, they should give Paris and Parasect some love because, man,
Can I
those Pokemon
tell
are
you
rough.
something that has not been able to be like removed from my brain? Been playing the Pokemon Adventures Red Chapter ROM hack, which is an amazing ROM hack that follows the Pokemon Adventure manga series, like
Yes.
panel for panel. Like,
Oh, really? Wow,
so
that's
accurate.
wild.
It's so good. It's such a fun game. I finished volume 1 of the manga. Super cool. I need to get volume 2. But I've also been playing through the game. Anyways, in Mount Moon, there is the most disgusting looking Pokemon that they added to the game, which is essentially a naked Paris.
I don't even
Like, they just removed
like it's mushrooms.
the spores from the Paris.
Is it like a
and
like
it's just
pre Evo or is it just like a
I think I just immediately caught it for the Dex entry and then just buried it in my PC and will never look at it again because it scarred me.
Mike, I need you to look into this our Discord chat here and tell me this is not an adorable gentleman right here.
Let me unscroll from like a million.
It's just the one in our no, sorry, it's in our recording.
Oh, look at you.
Look at him. He's so cute.
Okay. If that he does look adorable there.
I mean, he has weird like duck
can't-
feet for hands,
argue.
but yeah, you know,
Yeah, it's great asset reuse right there. You know,
he's trying his best, man. He's trying his best. But now we have to head
can't
to
argue with
Wellspring Cave to get back the stolen Pokemon. And as we start to approach the cave, Sharon is there too, and he had heard what happened from Bianca and rushed over to help us. So he's now going to join us in Wellspring Cave to try to take down the Team Plasma members. You go in there, and you actually can run into a Pokemon before you like actually talk to them. So I decided to get my encounter first, which I ran into a Venipede, who I named a Maple from Ozzy Maple Leaf, who streams on Twitch. She plays a load of variety of different games, but welcome Maple the Venipede to the team.
welcome. I do remember what I caught in this cave.
Ooh,
and it
tell
was
me.
a Riolu that I named Knuckles.
You know what? Like after I beat the Team Plasma members, you can go around and get an item there, which I don't remember what the item was. It must not have been significant. But I ran into Riolu, and I was so mad that wasn't my first encounter because I love Riolu and Lucario so much. But you know what? Venipede, sure, why not?
Yeah. Knuckles on the squad.
Knuckles is a good name.
Yeah. Speaking of items,
Yes.
we should let the people know that you randomize these as well.
Yes, so all the field items are randomized. Where a potion is, there could be a TM. Where there's usually a berry, that could be a Master Ball. Like, we don't know. So far, I haven't ran into anything significant. I think, Mike, you said we've had, like, some held items or so that we run
a few
into.
held items.
Yeah.
3 fossils.
Oh, yes, I did get a lot of fossils. I don't remember where like you can do fossils in this game, but that's just an extra encounter, which is super cool.
Yeah. You want to know what I got
What'd you get?
from my 3 fossils? Because I did write this down.
Okay, hit me.
Okay, first one, I was super excited. Plop it down. Researcher comes back and he's like, dude, check it out. Here's a Wingull.
And you're like,
And
okay.
I'm like, they're not extinct, dude.
That's just a bird. That's
Come
just
on.
a seagull.
Yeah, so was pretty sad about that. But then the second one came back and it was a Zweilous, which
Ooh.
was pretty cool. Not on the team, but it's an option for down the road.
That is wild. That is a good Pokemon to have.
Yeah, I got that cool Dragon Dark type.
Yeah.
And then my third one was the Nidorina. So
I didn't even do mine because I didn't
one out
even
of
realize that I had that option to do it. I totally forgot.
yeah, it's in the second town or the second gym.
Yeah.
town.
Nacrene
right?
City, yeah. We beat the Team Plasma people. We get the little girl's Pokemon back, and we head back to her, and she's very happy. She's very thankful that we got our Pokemon back, and we continue on down Route 3 until we get to Nacrene City, like we had talked about. We meet up with Sharon there, and he says that he's going to go to the Pokemon Center or something like that, and now we have access to explore Nacrene City, which, again, like, so far, just the environments and the towns have had such, like, unique designs to them, but they still feel like they kind of like fit into the aspect of like how this world is and how the world is designed. It's really cool. Love Nacrene City.
Dude, okay. Few things.
Yes.
First, I forgot until just now that I had my first death on the route to Nacrene City.
Oh.
And I do remember who it was because I wrote down all my deaths and in the order that they died. First death, Seabiscuit bit the dust.
No, not the horse.
So the hopes of having a Kingdra were
They're squashed.
immediately crushed. Yes, and this happened grinding wild Pokemon. Hence
This
the rule
was
change.
this was the reason for the rule change. Okay, I understand.
Yeah,
now.
I'm like, I don't want to lose another one to just grinding wild Pokemon. Yeah, judge me. I don't care.
Did you grind outside of Pinwheel Forest, like the whole bottom area that has all like that? Yeah, that's where I went to.
Yeah, a lot of time running back to the daycare there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my first death. Secondly, I don't remember if which city this or which town this happens in, but I go into every building and talk to everyone.
Yeah.
Just to see what's going on. And when you talk to musicians, like whatever instrument they're playing gets added to the
overworld music. It's so good. It's such a cool little touch. I love it so much.
Oh my gosh, it's so great. And then this town here, like it's just a bunch of warehouses converted into like basically studios. It's like kind of artsy.
Also, this gives me big like hipster like college town. Like you said, all of the warehouses are turned into these like bungalow houses. We got dudes with guitars that are playing out on the street. It's a vibe. You walk in here and it's a vibe for sure.
Yeah, and like I'm still blown away by the music thing.
The music change, yeah.
Adding the stuff to the music is so
It's so
cool.
good. And just in general,
so
like
cool.
so far,
and the music just straight
yeah,
up
black and white music has
good.
been great so far.
It's so good.
Such a banger.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also decided to grind because this second gym leader has like level 22 Pokemon. And I'm pretty sure by the time I entered Nacrene City here, my Pokemon were not even 20. They were like maybe 18s or 19s or so. So I was like, cool, you can leave and continue west towards outside of Pinwheel Forest. And in terms of if you're playing along with us, if you want to play along with us, I count the outside of Pinwheel Forest and the inside of Pinwheel Forest as an encounter because there's grass on the outside. They're both like nameplate as Pinwheel Forest, but I don't care. I make the rules and that's what I want to do. So
that's right.
I didn't get my encounter in outside of Pinwheel Forest. I ducked and weaved around the grass to do that, but I just battled trainers. And when I was the appropriate level, I headed into the second gym, which actually is the museum for this game. You walk in and the museum director here kind of walks you through. There's like a big Dragonite skeleton like right in the center of the museum, which is super cool. He walks you around, he gives you the tour, and he brings you to the back room. And he said, head towards this way to challenge the gym. Also, the gym leader is my wife, which I was like, cool, man. Didn't need that extra information.
Her in this weird basement contraption too, by the way. That's hidden away.
Yeah, exactly.
What is going on?
Don't understand. But the whole gimmick to this second gym is the normal type gym. It's kind of like this underground hidden library. And it's almost like you're playing like a whodunit or like a clue kind of thing because you walk up these little steps to each one of these bookcases, and each of the bookcases will supply you with a clue of the next book you have to go to, which will lead to one of the gym trainers ultimately getting you down into, like Mike said, this like hidden basement where I think her name is Lenora, who is the second gym leader. But Mike, how did you feel about this gym and the gym puzzle in general? It's definitely like distinct from other kinds of gym puzzles, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's a big step up from the first one, which was pretty basic. But I liked it. It's really cool. I watched a video a while back, and I think I shared it with you. That it was some guy just doing a deep dive on the quality of the regions throughout the generations.
Yeah.
And he spent a lot of time on Gen 5, I think, in Unova. And so I come into the game already like with the knowledge of the region from that guy. Not much story stuff, but he just specifically talked about Unova and like what made it special and set it apart from the other regions, and also like some of the downsides. But this region in particular was a lot of upsides, and I think it's probably like the pinnacle of regions, I would say.
Yeah, it's definitely not perfect. Gen 5 has its shortcomings for sure, but again, looking back on retrospect, they were doing a lot of really cool things with Gen 5.
Yeah, it's just like the point that I love that he makes, like every spot in the region like having its own content, even if it's not like crazy, but like you talk to somebody and what they're saying to you like builds lore of that town or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so far every town we've been in has had that, and like the museum thing is super cool, and I loved like going down into this library and doing the clues in the books and talking to the trainers, and super cool. So far through the second gym, I've liked all the spots we've been.
Yeah.
It's just it feels like a living region as much as it can in a Pokemon game.
Yeah, I'm really excited to explore this whole generation with you, Mike, because there's some really cool biomes we get to go to too. Like it's a lot of town right now, a lot of urban, but we definitely branch outside of that too to more like distinct biomes, which was super cool. But now we are face to face with Lenora, who is the gym leader of Nacrene City here. So in the gym battle, heading up to Lenora, I had my third loss for this leg, which I lost my Venipede to a Blitzel. I'm pretty sure it had Flame Charge because I know Blitzel and Zebstrika both get access to Flame Charge.
Classic.
But Maple the Venipede, R.I.P., rest in peace, you are now dead as well.
Sorry, Maple.
Yeah, and I was excited because I love Scolipede. I was training up Venipede in there. Scolipede's a great Pokemon, and
yeah, I too have a Venipede that I have chilling in my box, just waiting for the appropriate time.
I'll live vicariously through you.
Yeah, I actually love bug Pokemon.
Yes,
it's like my favorite type. I have no like concrete reason. It's not like a super strong type or anything. They just have some of my favorite Pokemon just have
also some of the like coolest designs too. Like bug Pokemon get some like when they're really good, they're done really good.
I did have a death before the gym battle.
Ooh.
Where before, I don't know. But my second death was sadly Sonic, my Swoobat.
Oh, the Swoobat and the Horsey. No.
I know. I think what happened was okay. This gets me all the time in Nuzlocke because I play via emulation because I'm not a millionaire and I can't buy these cartridges anymore. Exactly. And for some reason, Nintendo's super dumb and will not put their games on their eShop, even though we will all pay for them.
Exactly. I'll do it, Nintendo. Just do it.
Yeah. It's your own dumb fault, Nintendo. But emulators have these fantastic things called fast forward buttons. So sometimes I just have my fast forward button going and I'm just in the groove and I don't think things through. And I'm pretty sure I put Sonic out against an electric type.
Oof.
And he just got
So what's that? That's 2 for you?
That's 2. 2 and more to come.
I'm gonna keep track of. I just made a note of our death counter for this playthrough. So
Nice,
you're at 2, and I'm at 3 currently. So we'll see by the end of the game who has more. And guys, listeners, let us know who you think is going to have the more deaths in this run, because I'm really, really interested to see who you think is going to be.
I feel like I should retire from Pokemon if I have more deaths than you with all of my rules. Because I can only have deaths in trainer battles.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I feel bad because I haven't really talked much about who is on my team. But that's also because I don't remember when they came on my team. So for our next episode, I'm going to do a better job of keeping track of when team changes happen and for the gyms and stuff. But yeah, how was your experience here with the gym trainer or with the gym leader?
Yeah, I didn't have any problems with Lenora after because I was trying to remember like levels and everything. So I looked up her levels. I was like, oh, wow, that's 20. That's a lot. Let me go grind first. Went and grinded, still lost Venipede in the gym battle. So I went in with, I think my Tepic got evolved at this point. So I have a Pignite. I went in with Pignite, Roggenrola, Rotom, and Darumaka. And pretty decent type variety. I have 2 fire types, which kind of feels bad, but Lenora didn't have anything that I really had too much trouble with, and I ended up beating her perfectly fine.
Nice. I had some casualties.
Oh no.
I wasn't sure what level we were going to be here, or what the gym was going to be. So I did the puzzle and battled the gym trainers.
And use that. I was like, you're grinding a little bit.
Yeah. And then I went out and I was like, all right, let's get up a few more levels. But yeah, I also, man, I should have took better notes. I apologize.
No,
I
you're
don't
good.
recall who was on her team.
I don't either.
But one of the Pokemon got me quite scared because I did have 2 deaths here.
Oh, so that brings you just a 4.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So Tommy, my Togepi that I caught very early in the game, died.
Oh, well.
Which I was really looking forward to having a Togetic. That would have been amazing.
Well, Togekiss too. I mean. Yeah, Togekiss is great.
So that's no longer going to happen. And then I had another cool water encounter in the grass. My boy Krabby.
Oh, Krabby.
Cloth.
Of course.
Which I then nicknamed Cloth, of course.
Yes.
Which, if you were wondering, my favorite nickname of this episode.
Oh, Cloth.
And if you know, you know. Go listen to our Pokemon Scarlet Violet episode on show.
Yep, lots of Cloth love in that for sure.
Yes, that GIF still lives somewhere on my desktop.
Yes.
But yeah, lost Cloth. Then I ended up beating her. I'm looking at my team right now, and Knuckles and Snips, my Riolu and Snivy are level 17 and 16. So I think I was.
Oh wow!
You said she was what 20 something. So I was still a little under leveled. I did have a Vulpix I caught at some time. That's on the squad. I'll just tell you my team now.
Yeah, what's your team?
Because I told you my deaths. So my team is Snivy, who is named Snips, level 16. Not great, not quite up to where he needs to be level wise. I have my Vulpix named Tails, a Riolu named Knuckles, who's level 17. Vulpix is 16. I have a Wish Cash on the team.
A Wish Cash.
Whiskers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so Whiskers is level 15.
Whiskers
I
the
have
Wish Cash.
a Gabite, who is named Chompers, who is level 16. Or not Gabite, because that's the second one, right?
Gibble. Yeah.
Gibble. And then, oh man, I'm so excited to use this Pokemon. I caught a Bronzong.
Ooh.
And named it Dong, of course.
Of course.
And it's level 15. Funny story. Now I'm thinking about dongs. I caught a Swallow or something early on. I tried to name it Pecker.
It did not let you?
Let me name it. It didn't let me name it Pecker.
Oh, weird. It was like,
So
that's a no word.
Yeah. So I had to swap out the E before the R for an A. so it's still pecker. But I was just like,
Interesting.
it's a bird with a beak, and I wasn't talking about peckers.
And that's like
Game
exactly.
freak.
Pecker's not a bad thing.
Yeah, but then I did name my Bronzong Dong. So
Surprising that Pecker didn't make it, but Dong did. You know, that's a little.
yeah, right.
That's interesting.
Come on. But anyways.
Oh yeah, so Mike.
Rip Cloth. I was so sad Cloth died.
That is sad. Kingler is such a cool Pokemon. So I have my booted my game up. So after I beat Lenora, I have Bill the Rotom, level 18, CJ the Darmok at level 20, Slade the Roggenrola, level 18, and Sire the Pignite, level 20.
Very nice.
And
your levels are much better.
I remember being really tired while playing this when I was playing earlier into like the first gym, and I named Bill not Bill, but capital B, lowercase I, and only one capital L. So that is how Bill is spelled.
That's hilarious.
I woke up next morning and I was
great.
like, that's not how you spell Bill, but okay, that's fine. That is the team, that is the squad, and that is really all for this episode. Right after we beat Lenora, the museum director runs in and said something happened in the museum. So that is a perfect cliffhanger to find out what's going to happen next time in our Pokemon Black and White Nuzlocke. Guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for getting to the end of the episode. As always, one thing that I forgot to mention at the top of the show is, I mean, if you're listening to it, you know where it is, and you post it on socials, but this is going to be living on playlongpod.com. No premium membership or anything like that. It will be completely free, but the service is going to live on there. One, so you can have people go to the site, check out the cool site. We love it. But also, I don't want to crowd our normal feed with another Pokemon Nuzlocke. So head to playlongpod.com and check that out. You guys are already here. You're listening. You know where it's at. You're already here.
Yes, the site is fresh.
Awesome.
Looks
Thanks,
nice.
man. Appreciate it. We worked hard to try to like refine, and the service we're using is called Serial, and we're working really close with the guy who essentially runs the site, and he's been helping us and learning how to do all the back end stuff and doing stuff for us if we needed help. So it's been a ton of fun too. And their website service is specifically directed towards creators and podcasters, which is really cool.
Nice.
Yeah. But Mike, thanks for joining me. I'm excited for our continued journey through Unova. Do you want to let everybody know where they can find you and your show?
Yeah, sure. You can check us out on YouTube. That's where we most of our stuff is uploaded. We of course have audio versions of our episodes on all the podcasting platforms, but we really focus on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/showboyspodcast. You can head over there, or you can go to showboysmedia.com, which is our website where you can find the links to all the stuff. And check it out. If you like it, subscribe. We talk about film, TV, gaming, everything in between. And I always try to talk about Pokemon, regardless of my co-host.
Slip it in there.
Yes.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't checked out the Showboys podcast, check them out. They literally have a run of anything that you would want. Like I said, movies, TV, video games, all of it. I show up a couple times on there to clearly talk about Pokemon. So if you want to hear me and Mike talk about more Pokemon, there's definitely that episode there. But
so many hours of me and Jared talking Pokemon in just 2 episodes.
yeah, just 2 episodes. But in the next episode, guys, we will be heading to Castelia City and Nimbasa City to take on the 3rd and 4th gyms, respectively. But excited to continue our journey here in Unova. Guys, again, thanks for listening. Thanks for getting to the end. We love you, and we will see you next time. Peace out.
Bye. I don't know why I waved.
I also waved.
Bye.
And we'll stop
Bye,
this.
Greg.